All right, everybody, welcome back to part 6 of my 2026, there we go, LaserDisc collection overview series. And hopefully, in this part, we'll wrap up the remaining of the LaserDisc that I have not watched yet. This part took way longer than expected because, you know, I could just sit here and just show you what I have and everything, but you guys like to hear the stories and the details and everything, and I can't not do that for you guys. So, again, if I just went through each of them and just said, yeah, this movie is cool and that movie is cool, I can't do that. I have to tell you the little secrets and stuff about each film. So let's just go ahead and let's get rocking and rolling, so as they say. So first up, in this segment, whatever, we have the Howard Stern movie, Private Parts. Fuck Howard Stern. But again, at the end of the day, this is a movie. Okay, it's not real. It's a movie. It's fantasy. I got this at a record store out in Colorado for $1. This is the original theatrical poster. When the movie came out on video, they did an alternate family-friendly cover where it was just Howard's face. That was not good enough for LaserDisc, apparently, because it's only the original one-sheet theatrical poster. So there you go. But I do like this movie. Always really enjoyed this. But Howard Stern, I used to be a fan. The more that I discovered about him and the more that I learned about him, the less that I liked him. So there, and also, he became what he used to make fun of. So like Kevin Smith. So that's another reason why I don't like him, is when he went over to Sirius XM and became a billionaire and everything, he really changed who he was. And again, he's now the guy, like this Howard Stern here would kick the Howard Stern's ass now. Like this is the guy that, you know what I mean. So he became the guy that he would make fun of and stuff. So there you go. But this is still a good movie. And again, it's a Paramount title, so it does have the Dolby Digital AC3 track on there. Next up, another late title we have here is Analyze This, which I think this one can get a little pricey. I paid, I think, probably about $50 to get it, which is kind of what I set it at for most of the time. But always really enjoyed this film. One of my favorite comedies. And again, it is a late title. It is a little bit harder to come by. Yes, it does have. It's a Warner Brothers title, so it does have the it does have the AC3 track. It also has the blooper reel at the end of the movie, which was an extra feature on the DVD. I don't think it has a Yeah, it does not have. Oh no, it does. I'm sorry. I was like, I know it's there. It does have the commentary track with Billy Crystal and Robert De Niro, which ended up on the DVDs. Now, both of the analyzed movies are on Blu-ray, but the Blu-rays don't have any of the extra features. It's just the movies. So that's why I still have them on DVD. Next up, we have Hook, which I got this at a record store somewhere, but my favorite Peter Pan movie, because Robin Williams was the perfect choice to play Peter Pan. It's a shame that Spielberg hates this movie, which is probably why we've never gotten a super duper special edition of this movie, although I think it deserves it in my opinion, because it has gone on to become this big cult classic and stuff. And it did well when it came out. It didn't explode at the box office, but it did well enough. So, there you go. Can't complain. But love Hook. Always one of my favorites ever since I was a wee little lad. And you get some cool, really cool production notes and some couple behind the scenes photos. Not much, but very cool stuff in there. But I would love, again, if that were to get a super duper deluxe edition. But because Mr. Spielberg doesn't like it, it's not going to happen. You know what, Mr. Spielberg? You go fuck yourself. How about that? Then we have one of the greatest films ever made, as far as I'm concerned. One of my all-time favorite movies, The Sandlot. Enough said. Also, why there's never been a super duper deluxe DVD or Blu-ray of this is beyond me either, because it certainly deserves it, as especially at this point in history. I was like, why is it? Because it's busted. But yeah, again, one of my all-time favorite movies, definitely in the top 25, and one of the best movies about baseball, about life. Behave, you fucking LaserDiscs. It's the problem here. Just an all-time classic, and again, why there's never been a special edition, especially at this point in time, I don't know. Next up, we have The Jungle Book with the awful photoshopped head of Jason Scott Lee on somebody else's body, but oh well. But I absolutely love this version of The Jungle Book. I used to watch it all the time as a kid. I still have it on VHS. This is currently stuck on DVD, and the reason for that is because Disney does not 100% own this movie. There's another group that has a piece of this, and they, I think, are preventing it from coming out on Blu-ray. So, and the DVD is out of print, and it's very hard to come by. It's very expensive. I got this very cheap somewhere, I think at a record store or something. But yes, sadly, this movie is currently stuck on DVD, and until they figure out the issues, it's going to be stuck on DVD. Yeah, there's a third party involved with this, from what I have read and understood, that is preventing this movie from coming out. So I think Disney has surprisingly, from what I understand, Disney has wanted to put this out on Blu-ray. They just cannot, because they don't have the final piece of the puzzle. So there you go. Few of my favorite Sandlot. This one, couple favorite childhood favorites. If I could get words out of my face hole here, but hold on, we'll get to this in a minute. Bushwhacked. If Marv from Home Alone reformed himself, that's what this movie would be. But love Bushwhacked, again, one of my all-time favorite childhood movies, and you got to have movies like this on LaserDisc, so you can't go wrong. But great stuff here. Now, here's what's weird. I never noticed this before, but the kids here are not the kids in the movie. They're completely different kids. I don't know why they did that, but I think the VHS and the DVD, it is the kids from. I'd have to look into it, but yeah, those are not the kids from the movie. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with that, but oh well. Why this has never come out on Blu-ray, it didn't do well when it came out in the theaters, but it is a cult classic. But it's Disney, because it's Fox, so it's probably not going to happen now. And then, of course, a movie that certainly needs no introduction, Space Jam. Cannot go wrong with Space Jam. On LaserDisc. So there you go. And it's a Warner Brothers title, so Dolby Digital AC3. So if you want to crank up Michael Jordan doing his thing, there you go. But you got to have Space Jam on every format, or else. This is another late title, but I actually like this movie. I did see this in the theater when it came out, and it's You Can Call Me If You Want Me. If you need a friend, you got me. I'll be your everything. Come on, you have to. You know, now it's stuck in your head. I have this problem. I do this to you guys. But Inspector Gadget, which this is actually a late title. I think this was one of the last movies that Disney put out on LaserDisc in America. Tarzan came out in Japan. I have to get that one. Toy Story 2, strangely enough, never came out in Japan for whatever reason. But again, this is one of the final Disney movies to come out on LaserDisc. I think I got it pretty decently priced. I don't know what it goes for now. But I have always liked this movie. Like I said, I did see it in the theater back in the day when it came out. And would love to see that director's cut. It's probably never going to happen. And rest in peace, Michelle Trachtenberg. Always had a crush on her. And always liked her work too. But I always thought she was very cute. So very sad when she died. She wasn't that much older than me, which is the fucked up thing. So there you go. Anyway, gotta have Inspector Gadget. And then we have Cinderella. This is a later release. I think this was might have been the last release, Cinderella. got on LaserDisc, but another classic old school Disney movie. Gotta have these on LaserDisc. Plus, I love, I think this was the Masterpiece Collection or whatever. The artwork on these is incredible. These are the ones that when I was growing up, everybody had these on VHS and you would see them at the stores and everything. So that's another reason why. Next up, we got a couple Batman animated LaserDisc titles here. So first up, we have Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero, which is in widescreen, which is odd, which we'll get into in a second. But I always really enjoyed this. I had this on VHS as a kid. I was stupid and I got rid of it for whatever reason, but I do have it on Blu-ray and, of course, LaserDisc. But always really enjoyed this. This is a late title, so it can get a little pricey and harder to track down. But when I got it decently priced and stuff. But always loved this artwork. Now, the odd reason why this is in widescreen is because, and no, unfortunately, no, it's Warner Brothers, but it does not have Dolby Digital AC3, sadly, because it's an animated film. But this went straight to video. It was going to go to theaters, but because Batman and Robin got such a terrible reception, they put it out on video instead. So it's, I think, like with Mask of the Phantasm, what we'll get into later, because I do have that, it was technically shot in full screen, and then they blew it up to widescreen for theatrical release, and then, of course, that movie came out with no fanfare and everything, so nobody really saw it. But I think they did a similar process with this, where it was originally in full screen. Okay, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense, because it says here it's presented in a matte... Well, no, 166 and 1 is widescreen. I'm sorry, my bad. But it just doesn't make any sense because, again, this went straight to video. Why would they do it in widescreen? But I believe the Blu-ray, you can pick full screen or widescreen. Because, again, I think technically the movie was shot in full screen and then they blew it up to widescreen because it was supposed to go to theaters. And then they just said, fuck it, it's not going to go to theaters. So there's that. And then I have the Batman Superman movie. That's not actually a movie. This is the 3-part episode of the Superman animated series where Batman joined, and they just edited, I can't talk, edited, Jesus Christ, they edited them together, holy fuck, I need some sugar, to make a movie, and then they released it as a video, so there you go, and then they put it out on LaserDisc, and again, it's also a late title, so it is harder to come by. I have not seen this since it first came out on VHS back in the day. But again, this is harder to come by. It is a little pricey. But when I got it, it was decently priced. But again, it's not actually a movie. It's just the 3-part episode edited, there we go, together to make a film. So there's that. I think I might have... I don't think I have this on VHS. I need to get it on VHS. So there's that. But good shit. And then we have... I think... Yeah, it's a bunch of cartoons and stuff here. Then we have Tiny Toon Adventures, How I Spent My Vacation, which I got this at a record store for $15. And I grabbed it. Number one, I do like Tiny Toons. I need to get them on DVD. But I could have sworn that this one was not on the DVD. But I believe this one is. I think the other one, Night Ghoulery, is not on DVD. So... there you go, because I think I looked it up. I was like, oh, awesome, Tiny Toons. Great, this one's not on DVD. I looked it up. It is on DVD. Stop. Damn it, Power Rangers, behave. Again, that's the problem with having so many LaserDiscs. But, yeah, still happy to have this. It's Tiny Toons. We're tiny. We're toony. We're all little Lenny. Aren't we all? So there's that. All right. I'm going to turn around here. Don't look at my ass. So I have all of the Power Rangers LaserDisc. Yes, Power Rangers, besides the movie, came on LaserDisc. But these are all the ones that came out. These only came out in Singapore, if I could talk. Singapore is where these came out. So, and I have the whole set here. So it took me a while. These are not easy to get a hold of by any stretch. They can get a little pricey. I think when I got them, they were all decently priced. But it took me forever to get all of them because they're not easy to get a hold of. Because again, these never came out here in America. So they did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They did 6 compilations of episodes, and then they did 2 of the home video specials. So first up, we have the Green Ranger series. Now, I don't think the episodes that it says is on the back is actually on these, because I don't think Green No More Part 1 is actually on here. So I have to go and watch these to see what episodes are on here. So there you go. But always love that shot, the Red Rangers and the Illuminati, I guess. What are you doing, Jason? Come on, damn it. Then we have the White Ranger series, which I don't know why there's a Z on Tommy's helmet there, because he was not part of Lord Zed when he became the White Ranger. So again, well, hold on. It's for the Green Ranger series. It's supposed to be the Green Dream, Green No More Parts 1 and 2, and Missing Green, but I don't think those are the actual episodes on there. This is supposed to have White Light Parts 1 and 2, 2 for 1, and Zed's Monster Mash. So again, I'm not sure because I haven't watched these yet, so I don't know if the episodes that it says is on here is actually on here. Then we have the Ninja Encounter, which is supposed to have all 3 parts of the Ninja Encounter. So we'll see. Then we have the Power Transfer, which is supposed to have Z-Waves, the Power Transfer Parts 1 and 2, and Goldar's Vice Versa. I do have the movies that are in here because the movies actually came out here in America, but the series did not. Then we have the Adventure, which is supposed to have Mirror of Regret, When is a Ranger Not a Ranger, Rocky Just Wants to Have Fun, and Lights, Camera, Action. And then the last one of the episodes is Rangers Back in Time, which is supposed to have Forever Friends, the Rangers Back in Time 2-parter, and then a Real Fish story. So it's all season 2 episodes that came out. And then they released both of the Karate Club VHS tapes on LaserDisc in Singapore. So we have the Green Ranger Kata, which I had this one on VHS. I mean, I still have it, but I had it as a kid, and then I got rid of it. Or it magically disappeared. I didn't get rid of it. Someone else did. And then I got it again, and then it came out on LaserDisc in Singapore. And then they also did like X-Men, cartoons, Batman, Spider-Man, Superman. So Singapore knew what was up, man, with LaserDisc. That's what I'm talking about. Then we have the White Ranger Kata, which I did not have this one on VHS as a kid. I was told by Jason David Frank himself, may he rest in peace, I was told that this one was not out very long. I think there was a beef between him and Saban, and they pulled this out of circulation very quickly. So, and I don't think it was really as promoted as much either. So there's that. All right, then I have the 2 Voltron laser discs that came out. Love Voltron. We have Planet Doom, which I think these are pretty hard to come by now, but when I got them, they were very cheap, so there's that. And then we have Castle of Lions. How come they didn't put the Space Mice on there? That's fucked up. Then we have Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. This is the unrated version. It's actually still edited from the Japanese version because none of the nudity is in here. But this does have the American dub with the rock soundtrack of Alice in Chains and Silverchair and KMFDM and all that, which I actually really like. So there you go. This might be my favorite anime, to be honest, because I used to watch this as a kid. Because as a kid, I thought that this was the sequel to the Van Damme movie. I didn't realize that it was Street Fighter II, the video game, which I had played. So, just where my brain's at. This one, I bought another LaserDisc, and they included this one as well. But it's HUD with Paul Newman. Never seen it, so I'll give it a look. I'll give it a see, and we'll go from there. Then I have Eddie and the Cruisers, which I got this at a record store somewhere. Great movie. Definitely need to get this on, I think it's on Blu-ray. Definitely need to get it on VHS as well. So yeah, we got some more drama films kind of hiding out here. Then Rounders, probably my favorite Matt Damon movie, to be honest. This is also a late title, so this is pretty hard to come by now. And it can be pricey, but when I got it, I think I paid like $20 for it, so I got a deal on it. Can't complain, but great film. I always really enjoyed this movie, and probably my favorite movie about card playing, even though I don't know shit about cards, but still a great film, at least in my opinion. Then I have the Karate Kid franchise on LaserDisc. So we have the first movie, which unfortunately the first three movies never, well, three did, okay. The first two never got re-releases in widescreen. 3 and 4 did, so there you go. Then we have Karate Kid Part 2, which was always my favorite. Then we have the Karate Kid Part 3, which, yeah, this one, at the time, Columbia was experimenting with widescreen, because they actually put this out on VHS back in the day. This and Ghostbusters 2, they originally released them on VHS and widescreen, and they didn't really tell people, so people started freaking out, and they thought that there was something wrong with the tapes. Why are there black bars on the screen? Because they didn't really tell people, oh yeah, we're going to put these out in widescreen. So luckily for me, Ghostbusters 2, I had that original VHS. I don't know what happened to it. So I've always kind of seen the movie in widescreen, which is awesome, unless it was on TV. So there's that. And then we have the next Karate Kid, which this is where I became obsessed with Hilary Swank. So there's that. The very attractive Hilary Swank. But I had this one on a VHS, a recorded VHS as a kid, so I would always watch it. But I actually like it more than Karate Kid 3, and like it more than what came after it. So there's that. All right. So now I have a few of the UFC laser discs. I think there's one that I don't have. I think it's just one, yeah. So we have, now again, as I talked about with DVD and VHS, the second UFC came out first for whatever reason, which is why this one just says the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Because for whatever reason, again, they put the second one out before the first one. I don't know why they did that, but they did. And then we have UFC 7, The Brawl in Buffalo. Yeah, the only one I don't have is UFC 6. Then we have UFC 8, David versus Goliath. And then we have the Ultimate, which was UFC 7.5, technically. So there you go. So like I said, the only one I don't have is UFC 6. And then I have, if it wants to behave. I have the 4 WWF laser discs that came out. When they started doing VHS, they put 4 out on laser disc as well, but then they quickly abandoned that format because they probably didn't sell any. So we have And I don't have this one on VHS, but we have Wrestlers, Bloopers, Bleeps, and Body Slams. And then we have Hulkamania, The Best of Hulk Hogan, which I do have this one on VHS as well, as we previously covered. Then we have The Best of WWF Volume 1, which I don't have on VHS. And then the last one they put out was actually the original WrestleMania. So they only put out 4. Like I said, these probably didn't sell very well. So they gave up on LaserDisc very quickly. But they did put them out, and I think they are pretty hard to come by now and expensive. I think when I got mine, they were decently priced, so I can't complain. Then we have Rat Detonator Video Action 1991, which only came out in Japan on LaserDisc. It did come out on VHS here in America. But you have the videos for Shame, 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 Lovin' You's a Dirty Job, Way Cool Jr., and I Want a Woman, which is from Detonator and Reach for the Sky, I think. And then there's interviews with the band and stuff, which is very cool. I did have this on VHS and got rid of it. Kind of wish I didn't. But oh well. And then we will wrap up this with, there's a couple few box sets back here, so we'll take care of those quickly. And then I'll finally be done. All of the ones I haven't watched yet. Then we'll get into in front of the cabinet first, and then we'll get into the cabinet. So first up, if this damn thing wants to work, MGM actually put out 2 box sets with all of the Sean Connery James Bond movies, except Never Say Never Again, because MGM number 1 did not own that at this point, and number 2, that was the unofficial James Bond movie. So we have the Sean Connery Collection Volume 1, which has Dr. No, From Russia with Love, and Goldfinger. And I think it's similar to the Man with No Name trilogy, where, yeah, it has the trailers, and then I think they just did a multiple disc set, and they just kind of flowed the movies into another. So here's the insert. We got the very, very lovely Ursula Andress, and I think that's is that Daniela Bianchi from Russia with Love. So there you go. Ursula Andress back in the day was fucking hot. I don't care what anyone says. She was a total smoke show in Dr. No. Yeah, it's Daniela Bianchi from Russia with Love. So yeah, it's the same thing. How well, no, they did it differently. So disc 1 is Dr. No, and the trailer's at the end. Disc 2. Oh, so it's only 3 discs? I figured, yeah, okay, wow. They actually did one, I was wrong. They did 1 disc per movie, because they're all about 2 hours. So yeah, you get the trailers at the end of the movie. Except From Russia with Love. From Russia with Love, the trailer is at the beginning for some reason. Okay, I don't know why they did that, but okay, never mind. Yeah, that's Volume 1. And then we have Volume 2, which is Thunderball, Diamonds Are Forever, and You Only Live Twice. I don't know why they switched them around, because You Only Live Twice came out before Diamonds Are Forever. On the back, it's correct. On the front, it's not. That might have been a typo. I don't know. But it's the same thing. You get the trailers at the end. So, yeah, I have all of the Sean Connery James Bond movies. I need to get On Her Majesty's Secret Service and all the Roger Moore films. And then The World Is Not Enough came out in Japan, but that's very expensive. So I'm not paying. I don't want to pay $400 for it. So then here's the insert for Volume 2. So Thunderball and Diamonds Are Forever are each on 3 sides. So, and then they move the trailers to the end of Diamonds Are Forever. So, okay, Interesting. Interesting how they did that. Okay, well, very cool. So yeah, I have the Sean Connery ones. We already went over Never Say Never Again in a previous segment. Just need to get, yeah, it's all the Roger Moore movies. I don't have any of those for whatever reason. I don't. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and then The World Is Not Enough. But it's oddly enough though, some of them can get kind of pricey. Fuck it, I'll just wrap this up so we get this done. Some of the James Bond movies can get pricey. For whatever reason, I don't know why. Then we have, I already mentioned this, but this is the director's cut of The Abyss, the special edition, whatever. This is the widescreen version. I believe they also did a full screen version because James Cameron did that with his movies because he's weird. But yeah, this is the full director's cut of the film, the 1 hour under pressure documentary, and then it's got a bunch of behind the scenes footage and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, I got this for $3. I can't believe I found it that cheap. I actually got this locally at one of the antique malls around here. So you get a booklet. It's actually really cool because it tells you where the footage is by chapters and what the extra footage makes up of, which is very cool. And then you get over here you get the cast, which is very cool, and then the chapter stops. And for the movie, yeah, so the movie is on 4 sides because again it's almost 3 hours, and it's in CLV, so it's probably close to an hour for maybe the first 2 sides, and then maybe 45 and stuff like that for side 2 or 3 and 4, and then side 5 is the 1 hour making of documentary, which went to the DVD, and then side 6 is all, I think that's CAV, if I'm not mistaken, because that one has all the pictures and the screenplay and stuff like that. Yeah, that's CAV because it's documents and stuff like that you have to look at. So there you go. So also, Aliens got a box set for the director's cut, which I have that in the cabinet here. True Lies did not get any kind of box set, so there you go. Forgot where I got this, but I have another volume of this, The Golden Age of Looney Tunes. This is volume 1. I think I have volume 2. But these are hard to come by now. These are expensive because these are actually the uncut versions of the cartoons. I think the Blu-rays are uncut, but for the longest time, the only way that you could get these was edited on DVD, and you had to sit through Whoopi Goldberg telling you how racism is bad or whatever. Yeah, because Whoopi Goldberg is the pillar of good faith. You know what? Fuck it. I'm not going to take it out because it's just going to be too difficult. But yeah, this is volume 1. I believe I have volume 2. Volumes 4 and 5 are the most expensive ones. Good luck trying to get those decently priced. But everybody still wants these because, again, these are the original uncut versions of the cartoons because Warner Brothers got upset later on and re-edited stuff like they did with Tom and Jerry because apparently they're offensive. So there's that. And last but certainly not least, for the ones I have not watched yet, I found this on eBay, but it is a Japanese box set of the Mask cartoon. I believe, or it's 10. I don't think it's in chronological order, but it's 10 episodes from the first season, which now you can get them on DVD here in America. But I got this because I thought it was really cool. And at the time that I bought it, that DVD was not out. So there you go. But I love this cartoon. This is definitely my favorite of the Jim Carrey movies to get cartoons, although I really enjoyed the Ace Ventura show as well. Now, there were LaserDiscs that came out here in America, but I think the episodes on here, other than the pilot, did not come out on those LaserDiscs, so I have to track those down as well. But like I said, this is a very cool set. This one's pretty hard to come by. I don't think I've ever seen it on eBay again. But when I got it, it was decently priced and still very cool to have. I really, like I said, I really enjoyed this cartoon. It's a lot of fun if you've never seen it, and that's why I love doing LaserDisc. So there you go. All right, so what I will do is I will review this footage and we'll go another probably 20 or 30 minutes, whatever the case may be. But that will be filmed at another day because it's already 6:30 on the dot, and I'm getting hungry and I got stuff to do, so I have to stop filming for now. So we'll do that. But anyway, as always, thank you guys for watching. Most importantly, take care of yourselves. And, well, I don't know why. You know what? I'll scrub that part. My bad. You know what? Fuck it. I'll just leave it in. My bad. So we'll cut and we'll continue on a little bit later and tomorrow and go from there. Anyway, that's it for now. You'll see a cut. We'll go from there. Oh boy, I gotta stop. All right. So new outfit, new costume, different day. So here we go. So we'll probably go another about 20 minutes here. We'll wrap this up. So I'll try to at least get all the ones in front of the cabinet here done to wrap up this segment, and then in the next segment we'll get inside the cabinet, and then we'll wrap up and we'll go from there. So first up, this is one of the other autographed pieces that I have. I have one more, but that's actually in the cabinet, but we'll get to that later on. But I do have the Phantasm Signature Series box set here that was put out by New Line. Yeah, New Line actually had Phantasm, the original Phantasm, for a little bit, because at the time that they did this, I think they were also trying to do a sequel or a remake or something at that point. It just did not happen. But this is actually one of my favorite LaserDisc pieces. This is still kind of hard to get. This is still expensive. I know I paid, I think, about $125 to get it, but at the time, again, I had the income and stuff to get it. Now I can't just be dropping $125 on LaserDiscs as much as I would like to. And it is autographed by Don Coscarelli and Angus Scrimm. The Angus Scrimm autograph, I don't know if I would assume that the marker was running dry because it does look that way, but the Don Coscarelli autograph still looks really good. And this is number 1478 out of 2500. So they only did a limited number of these. And yeah, these are still very sought out by people. They still want to get these, which is very cool. But very nice box set here. You get the movie in widescreen, which was the first time it came out in widescreen, because the older LaserDisc, I think, was the early 80s, so it was definitely in full screen. And that was also missing a scene. They fucked up the master somehow, and it was missing one scene. But oh well. New mix of the stereo soundtrack. It has the commentary track with Don Coscarelli, Angus Scrimm, Bill Thornberry, and Michael Baldwin, which ended up on the DVDs and the Blu-rays and such. The home movies with commentary from Don Coscarelli and Reggie Bannister, trailers and TV spots, a 30-minute interview with Don Coscarelli and Angus Scrimm, frame-by-frame production photos, posters, artwork, everything, all that good stuff, and the CD soundtrack, which is very cool. So we'll go ahead and open this up. And here is the LaserDisc. And they also released, I think, they did another release which did not have the box set and the autograph. I think it had just the movie and the extra features. And then there is the really, really cool gatefold for this one. You get write-ups about Don Coscarelli and the principal actors and also the composers in here, which is very cool. And this was right before Fred Morrow passed away, because he died, I think, shortly after this LaserDisc came out. But yeah, I want to say that they reissued the movie, just not in the box set and everything. And there is some notes on the back there from Don Coscarelli. So you get the movie on disc 1, which I believe is actually side 3 is CLV, which is interesting. Okay, because there's not that much on side 3. And then side 4 is CAV. So you get the movie again on disc 1. Side 3 is the Fangoria TV commercial, which I absolutely love. If that's here on YouTube and everything. The 1979 interview, which is split into 2 parts, I guess. After the commercial break, they did part 2. A Australian TV promo, which is pretty fun, where the movie was called The Never Dead, because there was already a sex comedy called Phantasm out there. Angus Scrimm at a Fangoria convention, I think right around when Phantasm 2 came out. That's actually pretty cool. That's here on YouTube as well. And the deleted scenes. And then side 4 is the theatrical trailer. On the analog track, if you switch over, it has the radio spots. And then you get 3 TV spots. The home movies on the analog track. For that, you get the disco version of the Phantasm theme, which is awesome. And then you get the still frame archives. On the analog track, you get Bill Thornberry recording Sitting Here at Midnight, which he did many years after the movie. And then you get all your still frame stuff through there. So, yeah, that's why side 4 is CAV. But I'm surprised that side 3 is CLV unless it runs over a half an hour. I haven't watched this in quite a while. I don't remember. But yeah, that's the actual disc in there. And then you do get a little ad for Laser Views, which was a LaserDisc magazine, which I do not have any of those, but that's okay. And then in the back, you do get the CD soundtrack, which is actually still sealed. It did get busted, so I've never even listened to this, but it should come out. Yeah, and this is actually on 24 karat gold, which is very nice. Although they would not have a gold sphere until Phantasm 2. So there you go. And now it's not going to want to go back in. But love Phantasm. One of my all-time favorite horror movies. I do have the sequels that came out on LaserDisc, but I have them in here, so we'll cover those later on. But yeah, love the Phantasm box set again. One of my favorite pieces that I have. All right, so we'll try to get through. Well, I'll get through all these regardless. So we'll start with the. If it wasn't for this guy, we wouldn't have the other guys that you see here. So we'll start with Bruce Lee. So first up, we have the Big Boss, aka Fists 1-2. That is plural, not singular, of Fury. So there you go. And these actually all got released in widescreen letterbox, which is very nice. No features, just the movie here, but that's okay. And what's really cool with the always liked this dragon logo. I know you can't really see it, but they'll use that. Fox used that for all their Bruce Lee stuff, which is very cool. And another thing that's really cool is the chapter listings. There is an asterisk next to where a fight scene is, and you do get that shot. There is actually that footage is still not been found yet. So there you go. So very cool stuff, and you do get some production notes and such, which is really cool. And then we have, these are a little dusty, but that's okay. And then we have the fist, just one fist of Fury, aka the Chinese Connection, which I know a lot of people will say that this is their favorite Bruce Lee movie and it's the best Bruce Lee movie. This one, honestly, was always my least favorite. You could see the dragon a little bit better there, but it's not that I don't like the movie, I just like the other ones more. That's just me. But same thing on the back here, same kind of setup. with production notes and the chapter selections, and once again there is an asterisk indicating where the fight scenes are, which is pretty cool. And then we have The Way of the Dragon, aka Return of the Dragon, and then this one in Game of Death used the same type of artwork motif where you can clearly see the dragon now, just this painting of Bruce Lee, which they used on the VHS versions, which I do have that. We'll cover those when we get to VHS, and then they put a still frame of the movie right there, the title, and then Bruce Lee's name. So when you see Game of Death in a minute here, you'll see that it's a very similar setup, because I think this one in Game of Death, I think were the first two to come out, and then Big Boss and Fist of Fury came out later. Because this is 91. Big Boss and Fist of Fury were 92. So there you go. And again, same thing. You get your chapter selections on the back here and a little write-up about the movie, which of course is very standard for LaserDisc. And then to my knowledge, I have every American release of Enter the Dragon on LaserDisc, because I am a fucking nutcase. So first up, we have the original 1983 release, which still has that classic Warner Brothers banner around it, which they again use for their early VHS releases, the clamshell VHS releases, which is very cool. This one and the next one, I think, are in full screen. And I don't know, again, if it's open matte or not, but, just letting you guys know. And then we have the 1992 release. So when Fox was releasing the other 3.5 Bruce Lee movies, Warner Brothers probably reissued this around the same time, and always really liked the artwork there. And again, this is in full screen, but like I said, I don't know if it is open matte or not. And then the next year, they re-released it again. This is the remastered widescreen release, which to celebrate the movie's 20th anniversary at that point. So there you go. And it does include the trailer at the end of the film, which is very cool. But again, like I said, this was the first letterbox widescreen release of the film. So there's that. And then Warner's released it one more time on LaserDisc 5 years later for the 25th anniversary, in conjunction with also doing a VHS counterpart and the first DVD release of this movie. They also put it back out on Laser, and that's what we have here, the 25th anniversary special edition, which this is a late title. I don't know if it goes for anything or what the case is with that, but when I got it, it was actually very cheap. So when I got it, LaserDisc was not very popular again, so I was able to get this one very easily and very cheap. And again, because it is a Warner Brothers title and it is a later release, this does have the Dolby Digital AC3 track and a bunch of extras on here. So, and all of this again ported over to the various DVD and Blu-ray and 4K releases. Like I said, there was also a counterpart VHS box set which came out, which I do have that, which we'll cover when we get to the VHS tapes and all that good stuff. So you have the movie on disc 1, and then disc 2 is all of the extra features, and everything is actually CLV on this set, which is very cool. So side 3 rather, you have Bruce Lee in His Own Words, which was a documentary I think done specifically for this release. There's an interview with Linda Lee Cadwell, of course Bruce's widow. Backyard workout footage with Bruce Lee, the original 1973 featurette, 4 theatrical trailers, and 7 TV spots. So there you go. And also, this is the first release of the in America at least, the international version, which has the extra scene at the beginning where Bruce Lee is talking to actually Roy Chiao, who played Lao Chi in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. He played the abbot at the Shaolin Temple, and this was the first time that that scene was available here in America, unless you got like a bootleg or something. And that has gone on to become the standard version of the movie to be released. It wasn't until Criterion put out the theatrical cut. That was the first time the theatrical cut had come out on a modern format. So there you go. So again, nothing too out of the ordinary or crazy or rare or stuff like that, but it's still, very cool to have. And then we have Game of Death, which of course was the movie that Bruce Lee never got to finish. So they did finish it, as you all very well know. And once again, very similar setup to the Return of the Dragon release, because like I said, these were the first two to come out. And there you go. But I always liked this movie. I mean, you could look at it as the best Bruceploitation movie or the worst one, depending on what tickles your fancy. But I'll take that back. I'm sorry. When I was a kid, when I first saw this, I didn't like it because, I didn't know about it. I remember my uncle telling me, Bruce Lee died and they never finished it, and then they tried to finish it. And I remember we rented it from the video store. And I was like, I don't like this movie. So for the longest time, I didn't like it, but it has since grown on me because I am a good sucker for a Bruceploitation movie. So there you go. But again, you could look at it as the best Bruceploitation movie or the worst. So there you go. Like I said, just whatever tickles your fancy. And then I have a couple other Bruce Lee titles here. We have the Universal Studios Signature Collection for Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, which is my favorite biopic. There was a regular non-special edition release, and I don't know if this may have gotten a DTS release later on, but don't quote me on that. I'm not entirely sure. But really nice. Again, love these Universal Studios signature discs, and really nice setup here. Got a really nice gatefold. Of course, there's Rob Cohen's signature. You get some production notes, and then all the chapter stops here. And again, this is all stuff that ended up on the DVD and Blu-ray releases, so you're not getting anything exclusive to this, but it's still cool to have. So you have the movie on 3 sides, because it's just slightly over 2 hours. I think side 3 and 4 are CAV. So you got, actually, before the movie, you have the theatrical trailer number 1. You get the introduction from Linda Lee Cadwell, which on here you could skip. On the DVD, the old DVD that I used to have, you couldn't skip that introduction. I think on the Blu-ray you can. But for whatever reason, you couldn't skip it on the DVD. And then you got the first hour or so of the movie, maybe 40, 50 minutes. And then side 2 is when Bruce's career kicks off towards when he starts making movies in Hong Kong. And then side 3 is probably about the last 15, 20 minutes of the movie, and then the credits. So there you go. And then side 4, honestly, they could have just put everything on side 3. Side 4 is storyboards, Jason Scott Lee screen test, which does not actually have sound. It's just a commentary track from Rob Cohen. I think the guy he fights in the screen test, I think, is Steve Lambert, if I'm not mistaken. May he rest in peace. You get the making of featurette, B-roll footage, theatrical trailer number 2, production photographs, promo materials, Bruce Lee photos, and a Bruce Lee interview, which was the interview that he did with Pierre Burton, which was one of the few that Bruce actually did. So again, nothing exclusive to this disc, but it's still cool to have because that's where it originated from. And then I do have the Curse of the Dragon documentary, which I actually really enjoy. This is definitely one of the better Bruce Lee documentaries. Actually, there's quite a few of them that are very good. There's some that are not good, but I think the majority of the documentaries out there are actually quite good for Bruce Lee, so I can't complain. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is this? I think it's CLV. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Because it's only like an 80-minute documentary. It's not that long. Yeah, it's 88 minutes, so there you go. But I remember, first time I saw this, actually, Cinemax was running it for some reason. And I remember catching it like a Saturday morning or something. It came on. I actually taped it. I still have the tape in the other room. But there you go. So, of course, to follow up with that, I have a bunch of, actually all of, as far as, well, no, I don't have Laser Mission, but I have most of the Legacy of Rage. Most of the Brandon Lee filmography on LaserDisc. So first up, we have his only Hong Kong film, Legacy of Rage. Excuse me, which I believe I did get this sealed, and I busted it open. So there you go. Good old Tai Sang marketing. So you do get the movie. This is one that they actually put the English dub on here. So it has the Cantonese, the original Cantonese track, and then it does have the English dub as well. But you cannot. One thing about LaserDisc is you cannot turn off the subtitles. So yes, the movie is in English, but it also has subtitles, and you can't turn them off. So there you go. And at the end of the film, because the movie's 85 minutes or something, so to fill out side 2, you do get the trailers, the American and the Hong Kong trailer for Legacy of Rage, the trailer for Righting Wrongs, Prodigal Son, and Winners and Sinners. So they did that just to fill out the disc. And I want to say, no, I could have sworn that this had a commentary with Ronnie Yu, but I don't think. I guess it's not on the LaserDisc. I could have sworn that it was on here, but it just says Cantonese and English dub. So I thought it was, but oh well. But not a bad movie. It's okay for what it is. It's more of a John Woo type of film. Brandon does get to do a little bit of martial arts, but not much. It's mostly a gunplay film. And then we have Showdown in Little Tokyo. Absolutely love this movie. Very underrated. Celebrating its 35th anniversary this year. Hey, hopefully Arrow Video will put this out. We'll see. I would love if that were to happen, but, wishful thinking. But I really enjoyed this movie. Unfortunately, in America, it only came out in full screen. And, of course, there was the edits and stuff. But, oh well. And side 2 is CAV, because the movie is only 79 minutes. And they didn't throw any extras on there to fill out the disc. But that's okay. And then I also have the Japanese release, because, actually, I believe this one is in full screen as well, if I'm not mistaken. But it does have a little teeny tiny bit of extra violence that they cut out for the American release that ended up in this release. So, that's okay. Fine by me. And then we have Rapid Fire, which unfortunately was in full screen, so it might be open matte, it might not. Same with Showdown in Little Tokyo. I forgot to mention that. That might be an open matte as well. But it's weird because, like I said, this was 92. Fox was already doing widescreen LaserDisc. I don't know why they didn't do one for Rapid Fire. But like I said, this may be open matte. It may not be. So there you go. But this one was always my favorite of the Brandon Lee movies. So there's that. And then I have the original release of The Crow in widescreen. This one has the original stereo mix on here. And there was a DTS mix of The Crow released on LaserDisc, but that one's pretty expensive. And then I have the Dolby Digital AC3 re-release. So there you go. And the master is exactly the same on both of these. because the quality is the same and the chapter stops and everything is exactly the same. The side break is the same as well. The only thing that's different is, again, this has the Dolby Digital AC3 track. And then also at the end of the movie, it has a little making of, because this came out when the sequel came out, and they did a little extra feature on here for that. There's a little, they talk a little bit about the first movie, but it's mostly about the second film. So I don't know why they put that on here, but oh well. So yes, I have both of the both of the regular releases of The Crow. Like I said, there is a DTS version, but that's expensive. So there's that. And also, there's the different catalog numbers, and the home video label is different. I just noticed that. The original release says Miramax, the re-release says Dimension, and also apparently the aspect ratios are different, but I think that's a typo because I didn't notice anything different with the aspect ratio. So there's that. Alright, so that's Bruce and Brandon. You know what? I'm just going to run through this. We'll try to get through this a little quicker here. And we'll knock these out in the front. And then next time we'll go and start in here. So I do have this stack here in the middle is all Chuck Norris. So the other Chuck Norris movies I have. So we have A Force of One, which only came out in Japan. But I do really like that artwork. Again, out of the early Chuck Norris movies, prior to Lone Wolf McQuade, this is one of the ones I enjoy the most. So there you go. Then we have another one that I enjoy out of the early ones, Silent Rage, which has one of the greatest taglines of all time. Science created him, now Chuck Norris must destroy him. So there you go. But yeah, this is in full screen as well. I don't know if it's open matte or not. Same with A Force of One. That one is in full screen too. Then we have another Japanese release for Forced Vengeance, because this never came out on LaserDisc here in America. So very cool. And I did not mean to... I forget the lady's name. The lady that Chuck Norris is supposed to be protecting in the movie. But I did not mean to block her out. But you do get to see Mary Louise Weller, but she's right there as well. But really enjoyed this movie as well. Again, out of the pre Lone Wolf McQuade, which is kind of the beginning of the golden era of Chuck Norris, this is one that I quite enjoy. It's just Chuck Norris kicking ass for 90 minutes. So there you go. But good stuff there. Again, that's also... I think all the Chuck Norris movies are in full screen. But I do not know if they're open matte or not. So Chuck Norris never got... Actually, for a lot of the DVD releases, the movies were in full screen as well. Chuck got the shaft for quite a while. Because MGM put out a good chunk of his movies, and they always seem to be in full screen for whatever reason. Alright, then we have Lone Wolf McQuade. Always love that artwork here, and good old Vestron Video. Their discs were all the same with kind of the motif there, which is very cool. And then same with the back. But always really like their stuff as well. But classic movie, cannot go wrong. And like I said, this is the beginning of kind of the golden era of Chuck Norris. And then we have Missing in Action, which is another classic. Again, always love that artwork, always love that poster. And then we have Missing in Action 2, The Beginning, which the story, I've told this story before, but what had happened was Chuck Norris wanted to do a Vietnam film. Chuck, for those that don't know, one of Chuck's brothers was actually killed in action in Vietnam, and he wanted to make a movie as a tribute to him and a tribute to the people that didn't come home and the POWs and everything. So he got two scripts at the same time, which were for both of these. So he liked both so much that Canon Films decided to make both of them. Technically, this is the first movie because this was shot first and this was going to be the first one. And then technically, this is actually the second one. But Canon Films released this one first because they were trying to get a POW Vietnam movie out before Rambo First Blood Part 2. So that's what they did. They claim that this one was the better one, but I actually kind of always like this one more, to be honest. Not that I don't like the first one, but I liked him being a POW and everything a little bit more than the first. So that's what happened there. So it's an interesting little story. So there you go. Then we have Code of Silence, which is not only one of my favorites, but one of the best Chuck Norris movies. Whenever somebody always asks me, where should I start with Chuck Norris, I always tell them, start with Lone Wolf McQuade and Code of Silence, and then go from there, and you probably will not be disappointed. So there's that. And then we have Invasion USA, which is a Christmas movie. For those of you that don't know, it is a Christmas film. Chuck Norris saves America from the evil Russians and them trying to steal our Christmas gifts. But that's also one of the better ones for those of you that don't know. And then we have the Delta Force, which always loved that artwork there. Since this is over 2 hours, side 3 is CAV. So there you go. Then we have Firewalker, which is a really fun one where Chuck kind of gets to poke fun at himself a little bit, get to do a little more comedy. Him and Lou Gossett had really gay chemistry. Let's try that again. Really great chemistry. Chuck Norris is going to come kick my ass now that I said that. They had really great chemistry in this, and you get Sonny Landham from Predator as the bad guy, and then Melanie Anderson from Flash Gordon is in this as well, which is pretty funny. But it's one of the million Indiana Jones knockoffs that came out in the 80s, but those are pretty fun too. So there's that. And it's funny because John Rhys-Davies is also in that, who was Sala in Indiana Jones. And then we have Braddock Missing in Action 3, which was always my favorite of the Missing in Action movies. Good old Image Entertainment there. And I believe this was the first Chuck Norris movie I got on LaserDisc. So there you go, way back when. Then we have Hero and the Terror, which is him doing something a little different. This movie, Silent Rage, and Hellbound were kind of the 3 horror movies that he did. So I always try to watch these 3 around Halloween. Once again, another Image Entertainment release there. And that guy should look really familiar. That is none other than Bobby Six Killer himself. Brands Code Richmond getting hook kicked in the head by Chuck Norris there, which he plays one of the bad guys in here. Oh, almost stabbed myself with the Chuck. See, look, I told you, Chuck gonna come kick my ass. So there's that. Then we have Delta Force 2, Operation Stranglehold, or the Colombian Connection, or whatever you want to call it. I just call it Delta Force 2. It's got each home video release has a different name for it. So there you go. Once again, another Image Entertainment release, because they did, after Canon Films deal with MGM expired, all their releases went through Image on LaserDisc. So there you go. Even though there is, for whatever reason, a CBS Fox logo on here, but I don't really think they had anything to do with this. So there you go. Then we have The Hitman, one of my favorite Chuck Norris movies. I always really enjoyed this one. He gets to play a little bit of a darker, edgier character. Michael Parks is the bad guy. You really can't go wrong with that. Then we have Sidekicks, which for the longest time, this movie was stuck on VHS and LaserDisc here in America. It never got a DVD release or a Blu-ray release until Vinegar Syndrome put it out, which is still one of the best releases I think that they ever did. So there you go. But always my favorite Chuck Norris movie. And then we have the previously mentioned Hellbound, which is very fun. Chuck Norris versus the devil, basically. But very fun movie. Like I said, I always try to watch this and Hero and the Terror and Silent Rage around Halloween. So there's that. So that's actually the rest of the movies that I have. And then we do have the pilot for Walker, Texas Ranger. This is One Riot, One Ranger, which Canon did the first couple episodes, and then they went belly up. CBS bought the rights from them fully and committed to Walker, Texas Ranger, and the rest is history, as they say. But yeah, they did put out the pilot, which actually is the length of a movie because it's basically 2 episodes. So they aired it as a 2-hour special. So they did put this one out on LaserDisc and VHS. And then Warner Brothers put out some other stuff. And then this is only on LaserDisc. This has never come out on VHS or DVD. I believe you can find these here on YouTube. But we have the making of Invasion USA and the Delta Force. Like I said, this has never come out on any other format. It is a LaserDisc exclusive. So there you go. And they are both, I don't know why they did this, but it's full CLV. You have one on one side and one on the other. I don't know why they couldn't just put them on one side together, make it CLV, and then just have side 2 be dead, but whatever. That's the decision that they made. So there you go. But like I said, I believe these are on YouTube. But yeah, this only came out on LaserDisc, which is very cool. And I think it is kind of hard to come by now. Then we will wrap up with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And then some odds and ends stuff that I have just kind of hanging out in the back there. So first up, of course, we have none other than Bloodsport, which again is in full screen. I don't know if it's open matte or not. They did do a re-release of Bloodsport, but that was in full screen as well for some reason. So I have this one. But the re-release had an all-black cover. So there's that. Then we have Cyborg, which this is the letterbox release. This is a former rental, I believe. But yeah, they did do a later on. This is 1994. They did re-release it in the letterbox format, and it does have the trailer at the end of the movie as well. But Cyborg was a Van Damme movie that for the longest time I didn't watch because a lot of people didn't like it. I always heard bad things about it, but then finally one day I was like, let me watch this movie. And I actually quite like Cyborg, so there you go. Then we have Kickboxer, which for whatever reason, Kickboxer is pretty hard to come by on LaserDisc. I don't know why, but good old Image Entertainment once again. And, really good movie, classic film, at least in my opinion. Again, open or full screen. I'm not sure if it's open matte or not, but there's that. And then we have Death Warrant, Van Damme, in one of the Van Damme in prison films. He did do In Hell later on, which that's more of a drama. This is more of a straight up action movie. And then once again, full screen. Not sure if we're getting any more at the top and the bottom there. Then we have Lionheart, one of the all-time classic Van Damme movies, right up there with Bloodsport and Kickboxer and a few others. So there you go. Once again, full screen. Not sure if it's open matte or not. And it's weird because this was 91. I don't know why Universal did not put this in widescreen or re-release it later in widescreen, because the rest of the Van Damme movies that they did all have widescreen releases. So there you go. Then we got Double Impact. Always love that poster. Yeah, the later releases, it's just like a picture of Van Damme's face for some reason. I don't know why they did that. That defeats the whole purpose. But this is in full screen as well. Again, not sure if we're looking at anything more at the top and the bottom. Then we have Universal Soldier, one of my all-time favorite Van Damme movies, always was. This is the widescreen re-release. There is a full screen version, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, yes, this actually has the Dolby Digital AC3 track. The original did not, because Dolby Digital AC3 was not around yet. So there you go. But again, one of my all-time favorites, and it does have the trailer at the end of the movie as well. And my favorite Dolph Lundgren performance, to be honest. Then we have Nowhere to Run, which I always like this one. It's Van Damme trying to do a Western, which is pretty cool. Again, in typical Sony format, you got a bunch of production notes here, which were recycled for the DVD releases for the chapter inserts. Then we have the American release of Hard Target. This is the letterboxed widescreen release. Universal also re-released this in DTS later on, but of course that one is pretty hard to come by. I think this is just the stereo mix on here, so there you go. Yeah, because Universal did not support AC3. My bad. And then, and another thing, this is again the US theatrical cut, because that'll come in handy in a moment here. Then I have the Japanese release, which this is the extended international version, which has a good bit more violence in the movie, which is cool. And then this has become the standard version for whatever reason, because the American Blu-ray for Hard Target had that version, and then when Kino did the 4K, it had that version as well. So for whatever reason, this international version has become the standard. Also of note, in Japan, they did re-release Hard Target as a DTS disc, but they used the R-rated theatrical cut for whatever reason and not this version. So there you go. And then we have always my favorite Van Damme movie, Time Cop. This is the letterbox version. There was a full screen version, and then it was also re-released as a DTS disc. Because I think, again, all the Universal titles from Van Damme except Lionheart, I couldn't think of the damn movie, were re-released as DTS titles, including this one. So I have the signature collection for Street Fighter. Yes, Street Fighter got a Universal Studios signature collection. There's also a regular release for this, and then once again, there was a DTS mix. But this has the original. It says digital sound stereo, so it might have AC3. I'm not sure, but I could have sworn Universal did not support AC3. They were all about DTS. And then you get all the production notes, which I did have this one on DVD, and this was all in the chapter insert. And then there's Steven D'Souza's signature there. So you get the movie on disc 1, and then only side 3 has the extra features, and I believe it should tell you on the back. Yeah, side 3 is in CAV because there's some frame-by-frame stuff on there. So you get the trailers and TV spots, you get the original making-of featurette, you get B-roll footage, deleted scenes. Not all. Street Fighter actually had quite a bit cut out, but it's only a couple deleted scenes, storyboard sequences, video game sequences. Universal Studios had just opened Cyber Walk at their park, so there's a little thing about that. And then it has all the posters and everything in here, all the frame-by-frame images and such. So there you go. And again, it was all recycled for the DVD and Blu-ray releases, I believe, with the exception of the Cyber Walk stuff, because again, that was actually on the DVD of Street Fighter, the old DVD that I had. But that only pertained to the Universal Studios parks. It had nothing to do really with the movie. And we have Sudden Death, letterboxed. Again, this was re-released as a DTS title. But always enjoyed Sudden Death. Seems like now a lot of people quite like that film, because I remember for a while not many people liked it. But oh well. Excuse me. Then we have The Quest, letterboxed, which again was reissued as a DTS title. Then the last one that I have here that, I know we went over knockoff, but I do have Maximum Risk. I love that it says Maximum Van Damage on the side here. I always thought that was really cool. But always really enjoyed this film. I always felt that this was one of Van Damme's best movies, one of his most underrated films. And if I'm not mistaken, no, because it's a Sony title, so they did not do AC3. So maybe the Japanese releases have them, but I don't think the American releases did. So there you go. But again, love this film. And then we got a couple oddball stuff here. So first up, we have a couple Beavis and Butthead laser discs. So we have Beavis and Butthead, the Essential Collection, which was the only release of the actual episodes of the series here in America. They just took the Work Sucks and There Goes the Neighborhood VHS tapes and put them on LaserDisc, which I believe those were the first two VHS to come out of Beavis and Butthead. I want to say it was in Indonesia, or Hong Kong. They did another release of Beavis and Butthead, but that one I have not been able to find yet. And then, of course, we have the Do America film on LaserDisc, which, again, because this is a Paramount title... Oh, it doesn't. Okay, this one does not have Dolby Digital. Okay, it does not have Dolby Digital AC3, much like Clueless did not. I guess Clueless and Beavis and Butthead weren't good enough for Dolby Digital AC3. Sorry. And then we have a couple Patrick Swayze movies here on good old Laser. So first up, we got Roadhouse, all-time classic, as you guys very well know. And then, of course, we have Point Break, which I did have another release, but the cover was destroyed, and the guy tried to claim that he listed it the right way, and I'm like, no, dude, he had it listed as like very good, and it was in horrible condition. So I got rid of that one, and then I got this one. So really nice gatefold in there, of course, because the movie is slightly over 2 hours. Side 3 is CAV, which is the last 20 minutes or so of the movie. So there's that. So that's actually everything on the outside of the cabinet. When we come back, today's at the time of this recording, it's Saturday, but we will come back on Monday, and we'll get in here and try to get all these knocked out in probably 2, hopefully maybe 3 segments. We'll see what happens. But anyway, as always, thank you for watching. Most importantly, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you guys on the next one later. Yeah, I'm 3-finger fob now. See you.